of Religious Hard Talk. And this week we have decided to talk about the coronavirus. There are four main aspects that we want to address in connection to the coronavirus. Number one, we would like to discuss this afternoon the theological significance of the coronavirus. Number one, that's number one. Number two, we would like to address the sociological significance of the coronavirus. Number three, we'll also be looking at the medical significance of coronavirus. And then lastly, we'll be looking at the medical significance of coronavirus. All these four elements that we have outlined are interconnected. We can't separate them from each other. So I've invited two guests here. My brother on my left, Brother Zuksani Zamela, and then we also have Brother Michael Milado. They'll be helping us to unpack these themes. And by the grace of God, we hope that you will also be inspired and informed and educated by what we'll be sharing here today. Gentlemen, welcome to our second episode of Religious Hard Talk. Is there something you want to say before we say anything else? Okay. All right. You guys are still warming up. All right. The first set of questions that we'll be asking is on the medical significance of coronavirus. First things first. Question number one, gentlemen, what is corona? What is this coronavirus? Can you please help us? I think you have a mic in the next year. What is corona?
In as short words as I possibly can use, the coronavirus is a respiratory virus, which effectively means that it affects your respiratory system or your breathing system, you can put it that way. It's a virus that kills you if it gets to that stage by causing it hard for you to breathe. That's the main area that the virus focuses on. Like for instance, as we know, for instance, the HIV virus focuses on ultimately dealing with your immune system. This one focuses mainly on your breathing system or your respiratory system.
Yeah, the other thing is virus that has been received is something that is new, that hasn't been found in creation, which means it's something that is recently have developed, that have been noticed taking place.
Thank you. The second question, I've noticed that they call it coronavirus pandemic. Or epidemic, if you please. Now my question is, when does a virus get to be declared or categorized or classified as a pandemic? At what stage?
Okay, let's define. So there are two terms. There's an epidemic and there's a pandemic. So basically, epidemic is when a virus or anything for that matter, but specifically a virus in this case, affects a large number of people at the same time, and specifically when that happens when it's not expected to happen. So that's what an epidemic is, when a higher than expected number of people get affected by the same thing at the same time, relatively speaking. It then becomes a pandemic when the spread of this thing covers a huge geographic area. So for instance, an epidemic, if it were to be noticed all of a sudden, a virus that is usually not found anywhere, then all of a sudden 10 or let's say 100 people all of a sudden are noticed to have it, that would be an epidemic. The moment that this virus spreads very quickly and now it's covering an entire province, an entire country, or a number of countries, then it becomes a pandemic, which in this case, if you remember, if you were following the news, initially the coronavirus was termed an epidemic, and then I think it was the 11th of March, 11th to 12th of March, somewhere there, that the World Health Organization then termed it a pandemic. When it started now, it was not just only in where it originated, it was being found in a number of countries. Then it became a pandemic.
You want to add anything? Or?
Yeah, we can take example, for instance, when the issue of corona was brought forward. It was in few countries. We thought within a very short period of time, it was all over the world. Now, that's where basically that was trying to explain with regards to the current situation where we find ourselves. We started from 1 or 2 countries, and then suddenly, before we know, it's all over the show and it's uncontrollable.
Next question: what are the origins of this virus? Where is it coming from? Where did it start? And how is it communicated to people?
So we are told that it started in a food market in China, in Wuhan. I'm not sure if that's a town or province, but a region in China called Wuhan. Talks about it originating from a bat or something like that, but that's where it started. And then it started spreading from there. So the next part of your question, I think you said, how is it spread?
Yes, how is it spread?
How is it spread? So basically, from what we understand, it spreads from a person to a person. And there are a number of ways in which that can happen. One way is that if you are too close to a person who is sick, and then that person coughs or sneezes, and then air droplets containing the virus either land in your mouth or your nose or even your eyes, and that's how it can enter your body. Also, if a person with sneezes or whatever, and then it's in their hands, and then they touch surfaces, and then a person who does not have it touches the same surface, because the virus can survive for a period of time on surfaces, and then a person who does not have it, a healthy person, touches that surface that has the virus, and then they come and they touch their face, mouth, nose, or eyes. Then through that way, it can also get in.
I need to take you back before I give to you, Maggie. I need to take you back to what you mentioned earlier, that it came from bats in the food market in Wuhan. How did it move from bats to people? Were people eating the bats? Or, I don't know, how did it move from bats to people?
I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I've been honest all along.
Yeah.
I'll say that I'm not fully invested in all of the minute details. But what we do know, though, is that the food market where this thing is reported to have originated for, it's a food market where people eat a lot of different types of food, including what to other parts of the world, for instance here in South Africa, we would consider as strange food to eat in many parts of the Western world, for that matter. So in that market, for instance, you'll find that bats are some of the food that are eaten, etc. So that is most probably how it then moved from the animal source into infecting a human being.
Yeah, to add on that, based on the research that I've been looking at, it had to do with wild animals, as was mentioned, which means things that were from the biblical concept that are not considered for human consumption.
So they are unclean.
Exactly. For instance, issues like frogs. It's one among some of the things that has been identified from the being specific from meat industry. That's where basically some of the spread came from, and of which health authorities try to warn different countries based on type of food that they were eating, specifically from flesh food. Basically, that's where things were coming from. And from a biblical perspective, that's why we look at books like Leviticus that will try to advise of the things that are considered clean and things that are considered to be unclean, which means this simply means things that we are being informed from God's perspective based on the history that we have looked these things from, which means God was wise enough to alert his people of things that might cause a problem should they continue consume. And this is some of the areas that we find that things that we continue to learn from the biblical perspective. They play a role in terms of differentiating our practice.
Okay. My next question is on countries which are severely affected by corona. Which, at the current state, which countries are greatly affected by corona? I know it started in Wuhan is a province or state of China.
China, yes.
So it's no longer in China.
It has spread.
It has spread. It's no longer a Chinese thing, but it's a global thing. So what I want to know is which countries in the world are now affected mostly affected by corona.
So maybe one can start.
I think from Asian countries,
Okay.
China, Hong Kong, and coming to European countries whereby we have seen many people losing their lives due to the issue of corona. But those are few that I can mention.
Yeah. So just to add on that, so as we said, China was the ground zero for this thing. That's where it started.
Yeah.
And then after China, the immediate countries that were hit after China, it was Iran and Italy.
Okay.
Those were the next countries that were hit the most. And then it spread in Europe. Then the US also, at a slightly later stage, was also affected. It's found in Australia. The countries that seem to be least affected are the Latin American countries, South America, and Africa. But with that being said, before we can start jumping and say, because I remember at the start of this thing, people were saying, oh wow, Africa, hey, you see now, it's the revenge of God and the white man.
Yes, sir.
And this is what people were saying there were even rumors actually, on Black Twitter, so-called Black Twitter, where they were saying, hey man, looks like black people can't get this. But something to be noted is that currently we know, for instance, here in South Africa, where there are 240 people who are getting it, and the number is climbing fairly quickly in terms of the reported cases. So the fact that the countries that have it, that does not mean that they need to relax. That means they will not get it, because what that simply means is that they are effectively getting it last, and if they do not act quick enough, because when we look at all the other countries that got it, we find that there was a lack of the governments there acting quick enough. If they do not act quick enough, the same trajectory that the other countries that have it, they're going to follow the same trajectory, unless they decide to say, okay, it's not yet here, or we still have it in very few numbers, let us attack it heavily so that we do not even give it a chance.
All right. And then how does the climate, I'm just going to give you a number, how does the climate play a role in the spread of this coronavirus? You will notice that in the countries which we have mentioned, the Asian countries and the European countries, they are currently experiencing their winter seasons. And that's where you have a high numbers of people that are infected by this coronavirus. And then the countries or the regions which you have mentioned, South America and Africa, we are currently in our summer season. So I want to, my question in fact is there a correlation between the climate and the spread of this coronavirus?
I wanted to further extend your statement because my observation was, as he was giving the statistics on the countries that were affected, something that came into mind